Eve.
So, it is, I'll put the date in there. It's Moon Day, about 7:30 p.m. You guys had just returned. Did I get the right keyboard? Yeah, there we go. You guys had just returned back to the Gypsy's Gaze with a polymorphed as a dog zombie scav ogre, recently dubbed Bubbles, that is following Nazim's commands after hiring the goblin named Nissi to assist you with the B&E job at Venovia Manor. Nissi, you guys told her to meet you back at the... Oh, damn, that seam is still there. I'll have to fix that. Nissi is scheduled to meet you back at the Gypsy's Gaze at 9 p.m. tomorrow, the next day at Towers Day. So you basically have a full day until that happens. So I'll go ahead and move us over. Not that there's much to see there, but you all had arrived back at the Gypsy's Gaze for that. So what would you like to do?
What time is it right now?
7:30 in the evening.
What do I have to do? When was the last time I checked my scroll?
It was... Yeah, it was yesterday morning. It was Sunday, like 10 a.m. Ish. Are you going to check it?
Yeah, I'll check it.
Then, are you keeping this quiet, or you just...
I'm going into whatever room my dad is not in.
Okay. It's a small place, but there is, closable doors here, and you guys are the only patrons currently in the inn there. So you pull out the letter, and it says, "Apprentice, I have retained a new familiar, but my studies require all attention. Considering your involvement in the death of my previous accomplice, I would ask your assistance in the training of his replacement. I will accept it as both a great favor and as recompense for allowing poor Kamazoth to die in such a horrible way. So please safeguard young Miyadi attentively, as I have already noted a certain clumsiness about him. But he's still cute." And then it says, "In my own hand, Corin Xantilus."
He actually wrote, "It's still cute."
He says, "But it's still cute." Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, they do. You didn't. Literally just that was it. Just reading the letter there.
Yeah, I will just write him back that we're in miss, and we've got some things that we're doing here. So I will anticipate his arrival, I guess. What am I looking for? Yeah, that's it.
Meaning, what kind of an animal is it? Is what you're asking? All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, cute can mean a lot of things.
Yeah, well, we'll see if when he shows up.
All right, and she'll just, I guess she'll just sit a little bit and look out the window, see if anything is heading her direction. Just kind of keep an eye out.
All right. Then Sarah's doing that. Justin, like I said, we had just started. You didn't miss anything there. So everybody is back. Just for a recap for last week, everybody is back at the Gypsy's Gaze. You guys had all returned back to the tavern where Theodore and Avar were. They're not there at the moment. Remember, they left earlier in the day to go take a tour of the city. But they are, or they're not there rather. But the rest of you all are, along with the scav ogre that is following Nazim around. He's currently in dog form. Been polymorphed by Sarah.
That's right. The undead one.
Yep, the giant rat ogre.
And are we back in our rooms? Our room?
Dan, if you want to be, everybody's back.
Should we go speak in our room and figure out what our next steps are?
I'm gonna do some inside in one of the rooms and find out the information from that.
I got the middle of that, Fox. What was the...
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna go into a room and summon backside to find out what was going on with the scouting.
Okay. You, at the end of, basically half an hour ago, it was near the end of the last session, you felt her snap off of the planet, meaning that she was, something had happened, and she either returned herself or she was destroyed. But you know that you can snap her right back, of course, to you. So, stepping into another side room, you do so. The reports that she gives you are informative and a little strange, probably. It's going to take her probably an hour or so to display everything back to you, because she can't speak, remember? So she communicates to you in images. So for her to kind of play that video back, essentially, for you, you're going to be kind of sitting there communing with her. It's going to take a little time. So if you want to, spend an hour or so with her, that's fine. Then I can go over those things with you.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. That way that we have the information, because I'm sure...
Okay. Let's see. Sarah Noctua didn't poof out of existence, but I'll just say that when you arrive back in the room, that she's there as well. She hears you something going into a room and taps at the window to have you let her in.
Okay, so I will also get the information for her. And what was the spelling of the name of the new familiar I
Medes?
have to train?
Yep, it is. It was your fault. He says basically it's your fault, so you're responsible for helping him train Medes.
I mean, it was, so she's not like upset about it. And
He
apparently
did
it's cute,
also die.
so...
Yeah, he did also die trying to save Pogo, so
Exactly.
so there was some heroism at least in Kamazov's death. All right, so Sarah and Arteme then are going to go commune with their familiars to kind of get the report essentially that they got of their scouting of the manor. What's everybody else doing?
Are there baths in this place? Because I feel like
No.
I probably smell like the sewer.
Nope. It is a very tiny, inexpensive level of tavern.
My first question here is, what are you going to do with that? And I'm just going to point to the polymorphed undead creature.
It only lasts an hour.
Yeah. That's why I asked what you're going to do with that. I've already got like 20 minutes left.
He's not going to fit in here. Yeah, you probably have about that. It was probably about a half an hour.
Can't we just leave him down in the sewer somewhere and just go grab him later? Just tell him stay like a pet. Put a sign on him that says doesn't bite.
Control him from far away, right? He doesn't have to be within like a 30-foot or 60-foot radius of me, does he?
Let me see. What is it was Finger of Death that you cast, right?
Correct.
Let's see how that works as far as the control.
I mean,
It just is vague. It says it's permanently under your command, following your verbal orders to the best of its ability.
Yeah,
so if I give it a basic verbal command saying "sit boy," pretty much, yeah, just hang out here with Master Splinter, and we'll come and get you.
And put a little sign around his neck, like a wooden sign that says "doesn't bite friendly."
If anything, you might want to say "does bite," so they don't try to like go up and investigate or steal him back or anything.
I think if you put "does bite" on there, he's just gonna get murdered by some sort of thing.
Give me an Arcana check, Nazim.
Sure.
It says permanently under your command. Yeah. So, you're not certain how it'll work, but I'll say that with some simple testing, you kind of tell him to just stay, and he just sits there, no tail wag, no nothing, as you step away and kind of ignore him. You're not sure if it will last if you're too far away, but you gather that the programming essentially that this creature now has is too simple to matter if you're far away or close, unless you leave the plane of existence. Maybe that might be troublesome, but otherwise you feel like he's probably going to be fine regardless of how far away you are. So if you tell him to stay in the sewer, you imagine he would probably do just that until given further command.
All right, but then what I'll do is I'll just I'll go back down to the sewers with them, find a nice little quiet out of the way area, and just have him stay in a little area, and if he sees any rats or anything to eat, he can snack, and we'll come back and get him. So the command is
technically he's providing a community service at that point. He's a public servant.
Yeah,
pest control. Get him a shirt, name tag, maybe a hat.
All right.
Little blue vest.
You turn and walk away as you leave him there. He's still a dog by the time you leave, but you do know that it won't take long before that does end. But, even if Sarah were to sleep at some point, obviously it would end then. So you try to kind of hide him in a bit of a corner so that he's less conspicuous, especially when he returns to his ogre shape.
Did you put a sign on him that said friendly? I just recommend it. Or maybe don't worry, I'm fine. My owner will be back soon. Something like that. The air conditioning is on. Yeah.
It'd be nice to put a small decorative hat on him or something.
Yeah, I think none of these are bad ideas. I love all of it. And especially if we keep hanging out with that thing, we definitely have to dress him up a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be Weekend at Bernie's type thing.
Yeah, I'll ride on his shoulders like a kind of
sunglasses and a lei.
Sounds fantastic.
Right.
Right.
So with Bubbles retired for the moment, what's everybody else doing?
I'm gonna go check on what's her face in my room, see if she's still there and if she's
Jazera?
still safe.
Yep.
Jazera, yeah.
She is. She is kind of curled up in the corner on the bed and just reading. You're not sure where this one came from because you hadn't returned yet with the book. But if maybe she had one with her, you don't know. But she's just reading and kind of looks up. I heard you all come in. Is everything going okay? Like, is you going to be able to get in there and get out? Okay.
I think so. We found someone who we think can at least help us get in there quietly, so we don't spook any of the people there, and if everything goes successfully, we'll be done as soon as we can. This is Justin. I don't remember. Did we tell the girl with the weird crocodile thing that we're meeting her tonight, or is
No,
that
tomorrow night. Yeah, that was the only. Yeah,
we all want to take a day of rest and then do it tomorrow night. All right.
Yeah, and you still have other stuff to get prepared anyways. And I'm hoping, depending because it's going to be a short session anyways, I'm hoping that we can try to get through the most of that, and then we can start the actual heist hopefully week after next, I guess.
I'm going to hang out for a bit until someone.
Real quick, as you kind of are asking her there, she had some time to sit here and think, and I was going to at least give this opportunity to basically 2 chances. I'll explain here in a moment. Give me a persuasion check. Just Pogo.
On it.
Okay. So originally, I had prepared 2 different versions of the sketched map, and then one that had more detail and one that had less detail. And I was going to give you the lesser one unless you rolled really, really high. But I figured, well, if you come back and you talk to her later and she feels, more calm about the situation, where she's not, right after fleeing the burning building and everything, that she would, give you the better one. So in narrative, though, she says, well, I thought about it some more, and I left some things off of the other one. I was kind of in a hurry, so I went ahead and sketched this for you. And she holds out another map for you that you all can use to prepare with. I'll give you the visual aid of it. This one's basically the same thing, just a lot more detailed to it. And I went ahead and pop that out, and then share. There we go. I went ahead and also made a scene version of it so that you guys can draw on it if you need to. To make plans or whatever. But she hands you that, so you've got both the first and second floor. I had the second floor of the other one too, but this one at least has first and second on there.
Well, this is fantastic. I appreciate it. And then I'm just gonna spend some time. I'm actually going to. I'm gonna talk to her for a bit. Come back to me. I gotta look through my notes.
Okay. Ben and Nazim. Sorry, Norok and Nazim. It's been a couple weeks, guys. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get a drink. And what is it? What else do we need to get prepped? Is there anything I can help with tonight?
So the other thing, well, you need somebody on the inside still, which Pogo had mentioned trying to use Jazera for, but that might be troublesome because she doesn't work there anymore. So getting through guards and that kind of stuff might be difficult. Doesn't mean it's impossible. Just that he had mentioned trying to do that. So if you guys want to flesh that plan out.
I think the problem there, if I remember correctly, is that they don't leave the building. Like, if I remember, didn't she say that they don't leave? They all stay there? There's
pretty much, well, between Sarah and Arteme, they will have gathered this as well. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But yeah, there's almost no coming and going. Yeah. Pretty much everybody is there, or if they are coming and going, they're doing it via means that aren't a front door.
The cook is fucking the wife, though.
That was that's at least as far as what Jazera's told you. That's what she believes is happening, anyways.
Well, she does sound pretty fucking dumb, so I don't know if I can take it. I believe dumb her and with Jeremy. I think it's something to go on. I think it's.
if I'm making her enough of a stereotype.
Yeah, I think Jeremy's based off the stereotype. I think we're gonna be all right.
And so basically that you need somebody on the inside, ideally, to kind of help you. Well, Garrett didn't tell you specifically why. He told you that you need somebody on the inside, and you guys didn't ask a whole lot about that, but it will be relevant potentially to have somebody in. Certainly very helpful to have somebody on the inside. A schedule for when they come and go, which again, Sarah and Arteme will pretty much have that covered here. You'll need a getaway plan, and you'll need a plan for what you're doing inside, like where you're going, how you're going to get through things, all that stuff, which is what that map is really for. So you guys can plan on there. So as far as that, then those are the main things you need: schedule, getaway plan, an actual plan for the heist itself, and someone on the inside.
Right, then I'm gonna grab a drink and start talking to everybody else about it then.
Okay. How about you, Nazim?
All right. Well, we've got the distraction set. We've got the key person. We still got to get that person on the inside. Do we have anyone around us who looks like they work in the mansion or the manor or anything of that nature? We might need to make a friend, I guess we'll say, or at the very least, stalk around the building.
No, I
to
do
see
have
if anyone's
this. I do have this ability, and I make my hat turn me into like the dwarf again in front of the girl. Are we talking about this in front of the girl? Are you asking her that, Jazeera? I'm asking. I'm asking you, Sako, Nazim.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just thinking out loud right now.
Okay, never mind then. Thought you were actually having a conversation like with
No.
Jazeera.
Does she know of anyone else who may need assistance working in the building? In other words, can we pull a favor from them? Something of that nature.
Okay, so in that case, then you will be in the room with her and Pogo, because if you're going to ask her a question, obviously, then that's where Pogo's
So
at.
we've got
And Norok.
Yeah, we've got Brother Nils. Apparently, he's always drinking all the time. The cook who's banging the wife. We've got the only other two security are the nephews of the people, Nils' sons, Svali and Ati.
Yep.
And then they basically just walk around the perimeter taking shifts, so it's kind of a 24-hour thing.
But
actually, no, that's a lie. I think they actually sleep at night.
One is always up.
One is always up, that's right. Yeah. But the other ones are sleeping at night. And then.
What'd you say, G?
I was just going to say, does Jazeera happen to know if there's any kind of regular deliveries that come, like a milkman kind of thing? Anybody that comes in every day, UPS kind of thing? To where we could pretend to be one of them and sneak somebody in on the inside, pretending to be a...
Put them inside of a box.
Yeah, pretending to be whatever the delivery person is.
Yep. She says, well, no, not really. I mean, Fjodor goes out to get food. Like, he'll go out to the market and come back with groceries and everything, but that's about it. Beyond that, people don't really come and go very often anymore, since he fired everybody, at least.
Well, I was just thinking, if I can, I can change the way I look. Boy, I can just pretend like I'm. The problem is I'm a little short. Is anyone there under 4 feet tall?
And you look like the wife?
She kind of grins a little bit. Well, no. I mean, Fjaller is...
I'm out.
I think he's got some orc blood. He's a pretty big guy. Nils and his sons are both Thriggin. They're pretty tall as well.
What'd you say they were? What was that?
Thriggin.
Thriggin?
Yeah. It's a nationality, essentially.
All right, human though.
Viking. Yeah, they're like
Viking
Vikings.
human. All right, Viking. Yeah. All right, so
big Viking, anyways, as far as appearance.
Sure.
Danish
so
maybe.
I mean, Nazim, you could probably make yourself look like one of them. Maybe she could draw a picture or something. Does the same person usually do the night shifts?
Yeah, Nils is usually up late. He's usually drinking late into the night, and then wakes up one of his sons. As far as after,
if we can get him drunk enough, I can try and look like someone around there, and kind of squeeze through. If we can get him liquored up enough,
you could either you could look like Nils, or you could just look like one of his sons and then use that to the advantage as well. If he's liquored up, he might not notice any small differences. Where maybe wear a hat and just go walk in there with their head down like, "Hey, pops," or whatever he sounds like. Mumble a lot and then just kind of like, cold.
Yeah, we could run with that.
That's just an option. I'm just saying that's an option.
Well, while you guys are going over this, then I'm going to go ahead because this could be potentially relevant. So I'm just going to kind of fast forward a little bit here, just so you don't make plans that are circumvented by what the reports from the familiars are. So we'll just say that you guys are all operating on that same knowledge. Mostly because I don't want to pull everybody out and just give all the information to Sarah and Arteme, and then have you guys, have to pass the information back. So
we'll just say we walked into the room and tell them all this.
That's fine. Sure. Yeah. So then you can translate it as needed, but essentially, yeah, you guys all just assume that everybody has all of the appropriate details here. But with Fox away for a second, we'll start with yours first, Sarah. Here, Noctua's report is. I'd actually put these in order, but it doesn't really matter. Is very sharp and detailed, but there isn't as much information only because Noctua was kind of flying around and sitting on the rooftops.
She was a cat. I had turned her into a cat so she could go with Sai.
Are you serious? God damn
Yeah.
it! Arteme made
thought it was an
Sai a
owl.
cat. Yeah, I thought Noctua was still an owl, and Sai because she turned Sai into a twin-tailed cat.
I had turned Noctua into just a little black cat to go with
Damn it!
Sai,
Well,
so that way
in
she could
narrative.
go with.
All right. Well,
Okay.
there were important.
It's
You know
fine.
what? That's fine. So that's fine. The appropriate, the necessary details. Then, if the both of them are in there as cats, they at some point would have to split up anyway. So that's fine. Hey, Fox. So if they split up in the manor, and Noctua then at some point finds, let's see. She does find one of the guards that as she shows you the pictures of this, this kind of the flashed flipbook style, I guess, because it's not video. It's like basically occasional images that you see of these flashes of these different images. Many of them with associated emotional connection of whether she's annoyed or judgmental and things like that about certain things. There's certainly a judgmental flair because she spots one of the presumably sons, the guards, asleep in on a bench in a small like koi pond garden area in the middle of the manor, and it's basically the guard is kind of leaned back and snoring, and she kind of sneaks past him at some point and makes her way into the room beyond that, and just beyond that is a giant, like a huge chamber, where she sees a very large skeleton, like a museum skeleton. In fact, actually, you notice that as she's looking through windows, there are pedestals and artifacts and relics and things like that all over the place. The place looks more like a museum now than it does a home. And you don't know if that's a more recent thing, but there is obvious construction in many places, so it looks like it's probably in the process of converting and acquiring these priceless artifacts. But as she makes her way into this giant display chamber, essentially, with a huge lizard skeleton, something she doesn't recognize as the species, just doesn't recognize, but it's on this big pedestal. It's not alive. It's not it's not animated in any way. It's just, think a museum like of a dinosaur in the center of this chamber. But on the far side of that chamber, she spots something I missed because she's a cat and not an owl. Also, throughout this, then she would have also seen probably 6 or so of the automata, which we'll get to the details on that in Arteme's description here in a moment. But she does see multiple of them and just kind of dodges as best she can their attention. But in this giant chamber with this lizard skeleton, she does see a glint of that same color of metallic light, this very, very kind of bright goldish colored bronze. And she kind of makes her way towards it, and she's too short to really be able to see the top of it until she hops up onto another pedestal. But she knows that as soon as she's up there, of course, she's going to be more visible, and therefore she can't give you a lot of detail here, and that she would have had to flee quickly before she got spotted. But she notices that this table, the top surface of it, is covered in a handful of like a dozen or so knobs and sliders and things like that. And some of them change color, some of them rotate slightly, some like the sliders will move back and forth and things like that. And as she's watching this, she kind of hops down and just pays attention to the light reflection off of the ceiling. That they seem to correspond to what the automata are doing. As the automata are patrolling, they'll change color, or they'll rotate, or they'll the different knobs and things on this table will be changing in time with what the automata are doing. She can't get you a ton of detail on it, especially not from not being a bird on the outside staring through a window.
Yeah,
which is what I thought she was. No. That's I should have caught that. I thought that you had left her as an owl because Fox had changed Sai into a twin-tailed cat. So, anyways, for the details of it, though, that's as much as you got. And then I initially because something had happened, which we'll get to here in a minute, where Sai was caught and then snapped out. And when that happened, Noctua flew back, and hence her being there already by the time he got there, because it would have taken her less than half an hour to get back by 7:30 p.m. So, with that said, then for Sai's report, Fox, you still there? All right. So with Sai's report, it is the same kind of thing where the reports are just telepathic images that are kind of flashes of movement and sound and often emotion, which is the way that you personally would know this, of course, that's how predatory animals kind of record their brief memories is in this kind of scatter shot of images way. But Sai, in this twin-tailed black cat form, she makes her way inside of the manor. She hopped in through an open window with Noctua right behind her, apparently, before they split up. Sai. I'm sorry, Sai, though. Following some intriguing smells, you watch these kind of brief clips of her slinking around the house until she makes her way down this long red rugged hallway towards this big open door, and there's a hefty kind of gray-skinned man in an apron on the other side. The gray-skinned man doesn't seem to notice her, though, and he's stirring a pot. He's got an apron on and he's stirring a pot. It's obvious this is probably the cook that you've told her to kind of look for. The man's face is obscured by steam, though, so you watch as she kind of moved around to the side into the room to get a better view, and then the man caught a glimpse of her. And he kind of looks in her direction. She shows you this kind of vaguely orcish features with these little pinprick tusks that are jutting up above his lower lip. And his eyes kind of go wide, and she plays this back, and it's missing bits. Like the details of this are a little bit hazy because she's more focused, less on the words, because those matter less to her than she is on, if he tried to come after her kind of thing. But it's essentially, you translate this to, how did you get in here, you little sneak? And then something along the lines of, is that a second tail? We almost never see muty kitties here. Come here, you little fluffy thing. Are you hungry? And then he lunges towards her. And she, realizing that she's been caught, she kind of just lets him scoop her up because she could, snap out if she needed to. And he pets her. He seems to be nice to her. He says something along the lines of, if Durrell hadn't fallen into some money, then he'd be putting her in the pot, because there's no love for the bad bloods around here. But he grabs a cleaver from the hanging hook off of the wall and proceeds to chop up a big chunk of ham into tiny bits, and then starts feeding her little bits just by hand. But eventually the image returned to the cook back at the stove, just kind of looking over and smiling at this, what he called a muty cat, which you guys haven't seen too much of here, but especially in the north, there are a lot of strains of animals that are bad stock and have mutations, extra limbs and things like that, and that's what he assumed her to be with her extra tail.
Okay.
So that's, you've heard that word before in your travels, so that was the impression that you got there. But she kind of slings her way out of the door while he isn't looking, and then returns to her mission there. Upstairs, she spots a gleaming kind of golden bronze biped that's lumbering down the hallway away from her. She gives kind of an emotional response to that, noting specifically that she's impressed of how quiet the automaton is, considering its size and mechanical nature. And there is still an obvious kind of boom with each footfall, but it isn't as noisy as you don't hear a lot of gears whirring and things like that with its movements. It's mostly footfalls, which sound relatively natural. She follows it down the hall, though. It stops and then rotates 90 degrees before continuing on its patrol in a very precise and angular motion. It's clearly not a biological being, I guess, and that it is seeming to follow very strict, rigid structure. Eventually, though, they come to a dead-end hallway with her kind of following it around. This is what you told her to do, was to get as much detail on the automatons as possible. It walks to the end, not 5 feet from the wall, like almost to where it's basically would hit the wall if it made one step further, in front of a closed door, before it stops, and then it does that same rotate-in-place movement, this time turning 180 degrees, and Sai is able to kind of see its face, basically, for lack of a better term, for the first time. She stops still, and there just isn't anything for her to really hide behind, so she just kind of sits frozen for a moment, hoping to kind of study its face, or its features, rather. You see details of it, the smooth metallic plates that are covering these visible gears and cogwheels at the joints. There's a frozen, expressionless face, like it does have a head and a face, but there isn't any animation to it. It doesn't seem to have any moving parts, I guess, in the head. There's one arm that ends in a circular blade that's covered in jagged teeth, that one ending in a silver spiked, the other arm rather is ending in a silver spiked ball like a morning star. There's a cavity in the chest about a foot in height, and is occupied by this single floating chunk, like this irregular shaped chunk of this purplish crystal that's held in place by these brass mountings, like a gem might be held in a ring or jewelry. And like Jazera had described, though, there is this kind of shadow of a humanoid face that's floating in the crystal, and its eyes, these kind of slit pupils that are kind of similar to like a cat, even, that kind of pass leisurely left and right before the automaton begins to move forward again, this time kind of towards her. But she realizes that it has the eyes of the in the crystal there have caught her attention, or caught her rather, and she's gathered its attention. So she's got just a moment to react. She tries to dart under a banister to head down to the second floor, but her vision floods with this purple light, and this cat form just disintegrates. And she is very annoyed rather, when she opens her eyes back at Fentezrith.
Okay.
And that's it. So you snapped her back from there a few minutes later.
I would have snapped her back in her original form.
Okay, alright, so she's back aside then.
I'll do sketches of what she saw, like the cook and the automaton, so we know what we're looking at.
Okay. So then, with that, guys, that Sarah and Arteme have translated all of those details into human text instead of predator imagery for all of you. So what do you guys do?
All right. Well, I don't think I have much to do, guys. So what do you guys have to do? What do you have to do here in the city?
I still have to go in. Well, we have to get money to get the broom fixed, and then take a look at the shopping list to see what we want to get. And I think the little invisible creature could be useful.
You should run with that.
And for the other items, it depends on everybody, on what people want, etc. So the shopping list is down somewhere.
I think you put it in Discord, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Did you already did you bring your did you bring the thing to the Everbright Lantern? Is that where you went when you were getting quotes on how much it would cost to repair the broom?
I think that's the shop.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You got 3 quotes, right?
I
You
got
get
what?
your broom fixed from just 1 quote. You got to get 3 quotes before I get your broom fixed.
Well, I left it there to get a quote, but the
they
quote
don't
was
even
going to
know
take
how
a
much-
few hours.
Oh Christ! Well, we should go check. I mean, it's been a few hours, hasn't it?
Yeah, probably.
It has.
I'll
You
go
guys were
with
in the
you.
sewers for a couple hours.
I'm
But
gonna
that's
go.
why I was wondering what you guys wanted to buy at the store. So when we go back,
Honestly, we have so much stuff. I'd be willing to maybe sell a little bit so we can get other things.
well, if you want to sell some stuff, that would be maybe a good place.
We can go check it out. I don't mind. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna carry this ocarina around with me everywhere. I love this thing. This thing's fantastic.
You guys gonna make your way to the Everbright?
Yeah, I'll go. Is anyone doing? Is anyone else joining us?
I'll follow this time.
Yeah.
I'm also going to check on the broom.
All right.
Well, yeah,
I'm not using my hat of disguise this time. I'm going back just as me.
As regular.
yeah. I
Plato?
would warn you
Regular
that any disguise will be removed as soon as you go into the shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely not doing that.
All right. Then you guys make your way there. It's actually close. It's only about 15 minutes or so to get there. I don't have a VA to put up for that, but we'll leave this one up while you guys are there. But you make your way in up the front steps. There is a solid wrought iron gate that surrounds the whole place there, and every 15 feet or so there is a skull, and it's long since clean. We're not talking decapitated heads, just skulls that have been there a long time, that are jabbed onto the pointed spikes at the tip of the fence. It's certainly not a welcoming sight at all around the outside of it, but you kind of pass through the gate itself is open. It's just this fence that surrounds the whole place with very clean green lawn all the way around it. But you make your way into the manor. This was a house that has been converted essentially into a shop from the outside. But when you step inside, it's a little bit larger on the inside than it appeared from the outside. It seems to go up for more and more stories that it really couldn't. It doesn't seem from the outside. But you make your way through, and there is a purple curtain, which you guys have become a little bit used to now, especially after a couple of run-ins with the Juthrans, that you step in through, and any alterations, illusions, or otherwise, as you step through, do dissipate as you make your way into the shop. It is not so busy now. It is a little bit quiet. It's coming in, later evening at this point. But when you step in, Arteme, you do see a girl behind the counter that lifts an arm up and kind of waves in your direction. It's Casilda. It's the same woman that had helped you earlier, that you had given the broom to. So you're back already, huh?
Yep.
I'll check with the artificers to see if they're ready. In the meantime, if you want to, I guess you've only been here just the once, I guess. But if you want to walk your friends around and see if there's anything they'd be interested in, I can answer some questions when I get back.
Okay, sounds good. I'll show them the stuff I was talking about, like the shield. I think. What was it?
Yeah, I think you.
Pogo might like. There was the invisibility cloak, the feather fall.
It's true. I have an elven shield.
The enchanted tankard, the hat with the small invisible animal. The broom would be 300 to 400 gold. The chalk and inks for that 50 gold each. That what was his name wanted?
Ozzy.
Let's start with A. Yeah. Ozzy. There we go. And then the bubbles that Sarah wanted.
What kind of special shield do you have? What was that you were talking about?
She already went to the back, so I'll show you the shield.
It's all behind the counter, but you can, point it out.
What does it do, though?
Yeah.
What kind of thing?
It's a shield of expression, so it will work harder to protect you if it likes your stories.
Oh, sounds like so much work.
This is the guy who keeps coming up with weird stories. Okay, sure.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, how often do I have to... Excuse me, shield! How are you?
All right, okay. You kind of shouting across the counter to it. It's not so loud in here that you don't feel like it should hear you. Give me, I guess, oh shit, that'd be below your passive. Never mind. I was gonna say a persuasion check, but it would be well below.
Well, I'm just trying to talk to it to see how it works.
Yeah. If it even responds, though, is the
Ah.
thing. 'Cause if it doesn't like somebody, especially if it's not attuned, then it wouldn't respond at all. But it would be below your passive. So you shout out to it, and it takes a moment, and then you see the kind of sheen in the face of the shield, almost like it's a screen, really. That the shield itself doesn't protrude any, but the material of it seems to display this kind of wide humanoid face, very Cro-Magnon in design, the kind of heavy brow ridge and everything, and you see it kind of lift its mouth open wide like it's yawning, and it blinks a little bit and looks in your direction. It's pupilless eyes, like just kind of the shape of the eye but no pupil. Looks in your direction. Yes, little man.
Oh, you are a wondrous... Do you consider yourself a person or a thing? How would you like to be spoken with?
I don't concern myself too much with those kinds of trivialities, but...
All right. I heard you like stories.
Indeed.
Do you also enjoy jokes, or do you prefer more of a long story, like a novel?
If you're wanting me to help you, to keep you protected from your enemies, then something a little more tangible than a joke would be ideal.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spend a minute to tell him I don't want to waste the whole time. I'm gonna spend a minute to tell him the story of us encountering the most amazing and beautiful fairy that took us to a magical place, and we played a magical game, and it was really amazing, and I miss her beauty so much.
Okay.
Oh, gosh,
all right.
I'm gonna tell him the whole story.
Tell the whole story, the three-word story. All right.
Yep.
All right. Give me a persuasion check. You can lie to it too, by the way.
No, that's a good enough story.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah, exactly. That's a perfectly fine story. So it doesn't have to be true. All right. By the end, he's been grinning probably by halfway through. By the time you finish the three-word story and regaling, remember the 3 words you guys had to do. You finish telling all of that. He is smiling gleefully. Now that is probably the best story I've heard in the last few weeks, at the very least. Are you a professional there, little man?
Comes with a job description, I suppose. It's not my first time regaling an audience with a bit of storytelling. Usually there's more people, though. I was a little off since it was just, us in a quiet shoppy. But, yeah.
You got to pronounce that last.
Yeah,
that
the shoppy.
As you're saying this, you see the shape and the I guess, density almost, not the thickness, I guess, of the shield getting wider and kind of just growing in all directions, really, until it's really as big as you are, and very like thick. It looks like it would definitely absorb a solid blow. Mechanically, I would tell you that you would translate this as the AC of the shield is a huge temporary buff to it that lasts for a day, depending on how good of a story you tell it, whether it likes your story or not.
All right. I'll keep that in mind.
That is quite the story.
Well, how much did the shopkeep say was for this? I feel, I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad calling it like an item. This creature, this thing. How much did the shopkeep say it was?
300 gold.
300 gold.
I keep trying to get her to kind of bring it down a little bit because, to be fair, not a lot of great storytellers come in here, and if you'd be interested in carrying me around, I'll see if I could talk her into maybe, knocking a few coins off of that price.
Be all right doing that. I mean, do you think she'd be interested in buying this one? I'm just gonna pull out my elven shield. Or does she only buy magical things of the magical nature?
I'm not awake often enough to really notice. I couldn't tell you.
Do you know how much you weigh? Is this up on a wall?
It's hanging on the wall.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I don't want.
But yeah, it's behind the counter. So I mean, if you want to hop over and check,
I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to get in trouble.
There's a security system you're gonna hit with laser beams and jump over the wall.
Yeah. Do you know how much you weigh though? Are you heavy? Are you like you get heavier when you thicken up?
Fox, didn't she tell you? Didn't she tell you last time or no?
I didn't really ask about weight. I just marked down quickly some items of interest that the group would like to look at when we brought them, or when we came back. And
gotcha. Okay. Without telling you to do this at all, Ben, you do whatever you want. But Norok, you're definitely tall enough that if you wanted to reach over and just kind of give it a little tug, you could definitely like reach it without having to hop over the countertop or anything.
Okay.
You reach up there, big guy, and just like lift it up for a second and see what the weight is on that item.
Okay.
All right. You leaning over, then you see, like, you watch the eye, the kind of pupilless eye shape of the face in the shield kind of look up at your hand. You don't need to do that, and you grab it and you go to kind of give it just even the slightest tug, and it doesn't feel, it's like lifting paper. Like, it weighs almost nothing.
Oh, cool.
I could have just told you.
Okay.
Well, I asked if you didn't seem to ask if you're heavy. He didn't say anything.
He gives like the face of a shrug. You can't see shoulders, so it's kind of hard to tell. But you would imagine that's probably like, if he had shoulders, it would probably be.
It's more of you asked him and you didn't give him time to answer before asking somebody else to answer for you.
All right. Well, I'll wait till she comes back out and we can see if we can discuss the pricing for you. But yeah, I have plenty more stories to tell you, and I promise you'll be part of a few more if you enjoy being into these stories. If you want to be part of a story, part of a tale, or part of a song, I can always write you in.
It's definitely a he. He says, if these stories are particularly interesting, and you can maybe bring me around to see a few of these myself, I'll go ahead and tell you. And this is clearly hard to whisper without his hand over his face kind of thing, but he's trying to whisper to you. I can do more than just protect it in the physical sense. I can help you avoid certain energy types as well. Some mages flinging fireballs in your direction. I can help you avoid some of that damage too.
Ooh. Well, that's fantastic.
I really should be a lot more expensive than I am, but these guys don't know what they've got here, so I'm just kind of trying to slowly drive the price down until somebody eventually buys me and I can actually get out of this shop.
I love it. We got to get this thing. We got to get this. We got to get it, guys. Can I do an insight check too on the shield to see if he's lying?
Yeah, good. You don't have any experience reading faces in shields, but as far as what you expect the kind of facial mannerisms of this vaguely Cro-Magnon-ish kind of a head appear as, you feel like he's being truthful. He wants to get out of here. I mean, whether he's as efficient as he says about his ability to protect, it's hard to say. Like he doesn't, he can't compare it to anything else. He's not hanging out with other shields really. There's
Well-
not a lot of animated shields, but he at least seems to believe what he's saying. Is the impression you get.
Well, I don't have 300 gold, guys, but we'll see what happens if she comes back. Maybe we can talk her down.
Well, while you guys are kind of looking around a little bit and having this conversation with the shield, Casilda does come back through this kind of beaded curtain in the back. She approaches. It's clear she has some bad news. Is the kind of look she didn't come out with all smiles saying here you go. It's already. So it's you're kind of already prepared for it. She says, "Well, I've got some news, some good and some bad. And what it boils down to is that your mimic friend's broken limb is a very old wound, and it was never allowed to heal properly. The break can be fixed. The artificers are certain that they can do it. There's really no risk involved here, but it'll be a little more expensive than initially thought. That this isn't really a repair that we're dealing with so much as since she's a living organism, so much as it is like breaking an arm and resetting it to allow it to heal correctly." So that the flesh, that she air quotes this, of the split limb can be fixed. The artificers decided that it'd be best to have two of them working together to perform the operation, so that it doesn't, so they could just kind of work in shifts to get this finished. Artificers Isma and Nicholas would have both volunteered to do this work, but it is pricey to do so. So all told, we'd be looking at two and a half, maybe 3 days at a rate of 200 gold per day. So we'd be in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 gold. Like I said, no real risks involved. Your friend is healthy and strong. She's going to be fine. And at the end of this, she'd be, much better, of course, than she is now. Because despite this old wound, once it's fixed, she's not limited to the standard of what a flying broom typically would be. So the artificers at least have said that if she was to be healed, she'd probably be, probably twice as strong as she is now, and a little faster too.
Would a healing spell work, or it's more complex than that?
Yeah, it's unfortunately not as simple as that, since she's not. She's kind of in the gray area between an object and a creature, and it's going to require a little bit of both. Hence the two artificers kind of working in tandem to get her kind of fixed, and we're really going to have to split the broom back down all the way and then reheal it as if it were an arm, a bone. But because she is already in her adult stage, she's not a juvenile anymore, then this isn't as simple as just allowing it to grow. We kind of have to break it and then fix it.
I'm gonna look at Sarah pointedly, because the mimic on the broom is mine, but the broom kind of got attached to her.
I'm just gonna look at Pogo. We're getting paid for this thing we gotta do later, right?
Yes. You mean the
that thing.
yeah.
I was curious if anybody was going to say it out loud here in the middle of this place.
Yeah, we're
I'll go ahead and tell
clean
you
all
guys.
those houses.
There you go.
We do the cleaning, house cleaning.
I'll tell you, by the way, all of you have the constant impression that you're being watched. Artemis had that before too, but you're on the arcane version of CCTV right now. Like there's clearly security in this place, like security cameras essentially. So saying something out loud, I will just tell you that it's well below your passive for adventurers such as yourselves to be aware that you are being monitored essentially.
Okay, because I just spent 150 gold to get the chalk and stuff for Aussies, so I'm down to 56. And then I'm gonna hold up the foreboding dagger. How much would you give me for this?
By the way, Justin is now looking through the bag of holding. I'm not Justin. Pogo's just pushing through the bag of holding.
Just digging through everything in there. There's a lot of weird shit still in there. She leans over the counter, hands are still behind her back. She's just got them clasped behind her back. But she leans over the counter, kind of looking at it, not touching it, not coming too close to it. I can see that there's some negative energy coming off of it as well. What details do you have? What does it do?
Let's see. It is a magical +1 weapon. A creature hit by this knife must make a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw or find itself under the effects of the spear spell. The saving throw can be repeated at the beginning of each of the creature's following turns. Once a creature has successfully passed the saving throw, the fear spell no longer works against a creature for 24 hours. And that is all that it says.
Hang on one second.
But
I
I
just
know there
realized there's more to that you never got out of it. When you initially identified it, I think you didn't roll high enough.
No, I think I did. It's just not on there, isn't it? If they make the save at the beginning, I need to look at the thing. It affects me with the fear spell.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's the part. Okay, because yeah, it has essentially not a curse, but a a negative potentiality as well.
Because I have it written down in my notes somewhere.
Oh, okay. You know what I bet it is that's old enough that came from Fantasy Grounds, and I probably, when I pasted it in here, you know what, I bet that, because there was a different add-on for Fantasy Grounds where you could have things identified or not identified, and I bet that was in the other section, and I just didn't copy it in. Yeah, you've only used it like twice, I think, since then anyway, so it's never come up. Yeah. But yeah, it was a thing essentially where it could revert onto you if they succeeded. So in looking it over, this would be difficult to remove this backlash from the dagger. So that does kind of bring the price down a little bit, because not a lot of buyers are willing to buy things that something like this where they're using it to hopefully save their own lives could end up costing them theirs. 150 probably.
And I'm gonna put my shield up there. How about this thing?
I don't see any threads coming off of this. Is there something to it I don't see beyond just? I mean, it's clearly a well wrought
this
structure.
Shield,
it's strong, but is it enchanted in any way?
This shield may not be enchanted, but there's a lot of history behind this shield. It was actually used by the second prince of the fourth coming of the Elven Wilds down to the southeast. A very old and powerful group of elves that you can't tell. You look at it; it's actually 2,000 years old. Has historical value.
Do me a favor, roll a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Is that deception? How's it not deception?
I'm totally gonna give him a side glare.
How's it not deception?
Oh, wait, sorry. Did I say... It is deception. What did it say?
Oh, come on!
He said persuasion.
Oh, I meant deception.
Oh, also with disadvantage, so it might be
with disadvantage,
yeah. Let's see if it's lower than a 2.
Well, it can't be lower than that. It'd be a natural 1, you would re-roll it. Yeah.
And this spell scroll, in the back, augury. I don't think I could learn that one, so I think I was going to sell it and try and buy some I could learn instead.
Yeah, I don't like that. I was going through that, I saw that, I think I know what it does, and I was like, I'm never going to use that. I like to
real quick, hang on. Before we get to the other stuff in the bag,
right,
as you are trying to talk her into this, there's a little chuffing sound from behind. Hey, telling the truth, that shield is amazing. I looked at it while you were in the back.
It's pretty good. I do like this.
She kind of stops and turns and looks at the shield, the shield of expression on the wall. She turns and looks like kind of back and forth between the two of you. Did you talk to him while I was back there?
Of course. It's an interesting person item. I'm thinking that'll work. Yeah, they're very interesting. I was enjoying its company.
He doesn't usually like most people that come in here. That's an interesting situation, I suppose. Usually those that come in here after I've shown them what he can do, he very begrudgingly will come out and say, speak to them, but usually their stories aren't so interesting. I guess maybe he took to you. Regardless, I could tell he's not telling the truth. That shield, she's pointing to the shield, not you. Although you also lied to her, that was clear that she caught that as well. But she points out the shield. This thing might be better sold to maybe an armor or someone who could make better use of it. Mostly to lift her arms. But the things in here are almost to an individual item are almost all enchanted. So I don't know that I could do much with it for you.
I'm gonna sadly put it back on my back.
Don't worry, we'll go
how off
to
are
different
we?
shops.
What was that, Sako?
How much off are we on the gold for that thing? How short?
I have.
Well, if I sell the foreboding knife, I will have 200 gold.
And so far, I have 140 plus 74. I'm not too far away. Like, I'm like 75 gold away from it.
I can see if we can maybe sell the healing surges ring, the ring of healing surges. See if that'll put us over the top to get the shield.
Well, I also have, and I haven't talked to anyone about this. I got that ring off of Toju's body. Was that anything special, or have I know I looked at it, but I didn't do anything?
It definitely has magical threads coming off of it. Like
Right.
that's not even.
I'm just gonna pull it out and be like, well, I did have this. Found this earlier, and then I'm just gonna pull it out and.
Before you do, just real quick. So as you're pulling it out, go ahead and give me a, I guess, perception check, probably. Because you didn't really look at it.
Nope.
You just shoved it in a pocket before. Okay,
God
right.
damn
No,
it!
that's fine. You kind of lift it up. Are you handing it to her, or are you just holding it up?
No, I'm just holding it up out of my pocket and just looking at it.
She very briefly looking at it. Is that Toju's mark on the side? And she looks at you.
I don't
Where
know
did you
who
Where did you get that?
God damn it!
When she looks at the side, by the way, you then kind of turn it and look at it, and there is a clear, like a manufacturer's mark. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Stamped into the side of the ring. She says, I mean, if as long as you came by it in a fair means, I would certainly be willing to purchase it from you. It's very valuable at the very least. Certainly with that mark on the side.
Sure. I don't know how to tell you this. Are you friends with Toju?
No, I mean more of acquaintances in the industry. I mean, he's a well-known watchsmith in the city, so his work is hard to come by.
He seemed like he met some rat people down in the sewers, and he's no longer with us. Sorry if that's bad for you, but that's where I found it. We were
That
there.
increase the value.
Oh shit, that was good. Good timing.
So, yeah, I didn't actually. I just, he's already passed on, and we were just fighting off some rats. And do you know any of his friends? Do you know, like, Ashton, for example?
I've heard the name. I don't know that.
Yeah, we were helping Ashton to fight off, and we saved Ashton, and we saved the lady friend of his.
So did you come by this in an upfront manner? Am I buying stolen goods if I buy this
it's
from
not,
you?
definitely not stolen, although I didn't realize it had, I didn't realize it would be recognized. Makes me feel kind of bad now, but it wasn't. Let's just put it this way, better we procure it than those rat people that were in the sewers who had already killed them.
Well, and you see her kind of reach an arm back behind her into the box that Arteme had purchased some lenses out of, and she pulls one out. She doesn't even look in that direction. She just, muscle memory knows where it is. Pulls a big glass lens out of it. If you want me to give it a quick appraisal, I can. I need to know what it does, obviously, to have an idea of what we can pay you for it.
Does anyone in our group do that? I can't remember.
I do.
Tara normally does
But
it.
it takes
It
me an hour.
Takes you an hour off. Yep. Go ahead. Yeah, take a look. I'm gonna
All
keep
right.
my eyes on her too.
Sure.
What does this lady look like, by the way?
She looks younger than she is. It's clear that she is using magical makeup, I guess you would say, like plastic surgery, essentially. But she is a little bit on the shorter side, blonde, and kind of pulled back into this little tight ponytail, almost like a librarian-ish kind of appearance, and wearing this very plain white, like gleaming white, way too bright, way too clean to be working, essentially. While
she's
with a
looking
pocket
at
in
it
front.
through the lens, I'm just like, I'm gonna put like kind of my shoulder up if I can on the counter. I do love
shoulder up on the counter.
Like, I don't know how tall it is, like, and I'm small, so I'm trying to like figure out how I can.
It's taller than 3 feet. You're looking up
Okay.
at her at best. Yeah.
So I'm gonna like put a hand on the counter, awkwardly.
Pull yourself up like a little kid.
No,
on the
no.
counter.
I must say, I'm always so impressed with an attractive businesswoman like yourself. Sometimes I know it's a man's world and it's rough out there for certain women, and you're just doing such a great job. It's very impressive. I'm just kind of flirting with her a little bit while she's looking at this thing.
She's ignoring you, and you get the impression that she gets hit on a lot. And if anything, this is going to reduce. Like she's not giving you anything in response that is positive. I guess
Sure.
The vibes coming off are very like this will end up costing like you more essentially if you push her too far, kind of thing.
Really?
was the vibe that you get from it. But she's basically ignoring you, kind of leaned over the counter, looking through this lens that she's kind of held against it, and then she kind of lifts one hand up in the air, and you see her fingertips, like as she's kind of ignoring you, she's focused on this ring. She lifts her fingers into the air, and you've seen Sarah do this a few times, except Sarah's doing it with like an owl feather. Yes, there you go. A little cat trying to reach up on the table, same idea. But she's kind of just doing this with her fingertips. Like, clearly this is a lot more, somebody who does this 8 hours a day instead of occasionally, like Sarah. But as she's holding the lens on it and kind of staring through it, she starts writing in with these fingers in the air. You see these kind of little sparkles coming off of it. It's clearly an arcane text of some sort that she's drawing in the air that is kind of slowly dissipating, kind of lingers in the air for a minute before dissipating. As she finishes it, though, it takes her about a minute. She says, well, this is an interesting one to say the least. She's kind of addressing the group to kind of almost ignore Pogo, even though Pogo is the one that handed her the ring. This, I guess it makes a little sense because I always knew that he had some connections to the underground here. But this ring here, if you top it against a like a keyhole or a lock, it will extend some of the metal out into the keyhole, and it'll try to open the lock for you. But there's a little more to it. If it tries and if you don't succeed at getting the lock open with it, there's a little charge in there that it uses to try to kind of extend this metal, and it can short out, and it can shock you if it fails, and it might hurt a little bit. Doesn't seem like it would hurt that much. There isn't much electricity in there, but it would maybe kind of paralyze you for a minute or so. Not all of you, just your hand.
How much do you think would this be something that you'd sell in your shop, or because of the markings would it be not? So, what would you pay me for it if you wanted it?
Real quick, just because Sako was going to say something. Were you going to say, Sako?
Oh no, I was going to say that's our entryway. That's our entry point. We could use that.
So, well, okay, mechanically, real quick, and then we'll back into narrative for Justin's question there. But it is it's called the Unbarring Loop. And doesn't require attunement. It's just rare. It's not, it's not a masterpiece or anything like that. It's not unheard of, but it is a +3 on all lockpicking ability checks that you make while wearing it, without requiring attunement. No charges, no nothing. Just +3 to all lockpicking checks that you make. Except if you roll a 1 on a lockpicking check, then the little burst of electrical energy that she was referring to there, it'll do 1d4 damage, which isn't, not serious, but basically do 1d4 damage to whoever's wearing it, and the hand that it's worn on is paralyzed for 1 minute.
So I guess my question though is, I'm not a quote unquote watchmaker. Are any of you quote unquote watchmakers? Do you have the proficiency to even do that? I'm looking around the group.
Well, I have sleight of hand that would help me with the lockpicking.
Just waiting for Ben to be like, "Yeah, I do." The whole time.
Yeah.
So no one has it because if we're not proficient in it, can we still do it? We just don't get our proficiency bonus.
Yeah. So you can try.
Does the ring require us to be proficient? Is what I'm asking.
Nope.
Okay.
If anything, the ring would kind of almost offset proficiency because it's a +3 and your proficiency taken 4. But if you are proficient, it would be in addition to that, and Arteme is.
Arteme is?
Yeah, Arteme is proficient with lockpicking, yeah.
Oh, I mean, we can just kick...
He's not an expert at it. No. So, okay, so just to be clear on that, too, because Arteme, you had mentioned that, and I meant to get back to you on that like 3 or 4 sessions ago, Fox. That you guys didn't need to bring an expert locksmith because you're proficient in it. You are proficient, but that's not the same thing as being an expert.
Yeah, that's what I figured out after, and I'm like, it's probably better to have an expert. Yeah. Like, if we have time, if we're at inns or stuff, I'll pick random locks just to see if I can open them, but not actually take anything. So or I'll just bring locks into the flying ship and then practice it. But other than that, you're already proficient. You already have the max amount that you can get from that. Expertise is double proficiency bonus, and you have to be a rogue for that mechanically. But in narrative, we'll just say that. I mean, if you did it professionally for weeks and weeks or maybe years, that's when you would earn expertise. Okay, so it takes a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rogues get it naturally, and she's a rogue. But that's the difference between somebody who does it all day, every day, versus somebody who is skilled and capable, but not necessarily an expert at it.
Yeah, that's why I prefer. That's why I definitely prefer.
Yeah.
So 2 items of question: the augury skull. If I think any wizard in the group would be able to grab that. I can't use it, but if not, we could try and sell that. And the Iskil Ring of Mastery. If nobody wants that one,
I think you're using that, aren't you? Pretty sure you have that attuned.
Maybe? I'm not sure.
But
really though, how much would you like? How much would you like?
For the ring?
Would you get for this? Yeah. How much?
Yeah. With Toju's mark on it, 300.
Would you? What if Toju's mark wasn't on it?
It's adding at least probably 50.
I'm just gonna quickly try to rub it off on like my shirt or something.
No. It's good. They want it on there.
They want it on there. Oh,
the
yeah.
marking on there is adding 50, so it'd be 250 for it.
Tell you what if I traded you this ring?
I want to see if she's downplaying this.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, make your insight check. And Fox, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the Iskil ring. Yeah, I see it. I'm wearing it.
That adds 1 to your proficiency. Like that is extremely pricey. But
Never mind.
It's very rare. Not with that. I mean, you can't tell.
Yeah. What if I trade you then this ring for that shield?
She kind of
come on,
gives
no
gives
one's
you a
giving it the kind
look.
of need. It's not feeding the way it needs. It needs the story. It needs the thrill of life.
He annoys me every day, asking me to sell him to the next buyer that comes in. What do you think, Shield? And you see the face kind of slowly reappear and yawn again. I fell asleep. What was happening?
I'm going to intently listen on this because I'll also make a check in just a minute after the response.
Okay.
He's saying she's willing to trade for this ring, and you can come with me and live with me forever. We'll have stories, and we'll travel, and I'm never going to settle down. And I'm always going to regale with stories of adventure, and I haven't even told you about the giants yet. They knocked him into another continent with a giant chunk of dirt.
You see him squint in the direction of the ring. For that piece of junk, there's not even any gems or anything on that. Just a little cheap chunk of steel. That's what I'm worth. He looks like despondent. He looks pissed off at Casilda. You're actually entertaining this. You're going to trade me for that little chunk of that could have popped off of a wheel somewhere. That looks like garbage. I'm worth more than that.
You're getting quite the deal, Casilda.
She kind of ignores the shield. It's clear that the shield probably annoys her more than anything. Yeah, that's a deal. We'll take that.
All right, and I'm gonna be all.
She reaches over, and you see she's very kind of small framed, and just grabs the shield and picks it up. Who did you all touch this? Did somebody touch? He's definitely been touched.
I didn't know how heavy it was, so I had Nora, my friend here, just kind of do a little test to see if it was too heavy for me. I'm not a big guy.
She kind of gives an annoyed grin towards or a scowl towards Norok as she kind of lifts it up over zero effort. This thing should be probably 30 pounds, but no effort whatsoever, lifting it above her shoulders over the counter, and then kind of sets it over to the other side.
Oh, easily. I'm so excited! I'm like a kid with a new toy. I'm gonna go out into the street, and I'm gonna start telling him about the giants, the story of us inside. And I'm going to be a little exaggerated, but the story of us inside a barricaded fortress as we fought off undead giants.
All right. I'll still tell the truth. You haven't tried to lie to it yet.
No, not yet.
Well, Becky?
I'm going to ask it, do you need a down payment to get the broom fixed? Or pay for it all when it's done?
Well, I mean, you hadn't all agreed to that yet, so assuming that you are, then half up front, and then half when she's finished. And because we're estimating 500 to 600, we would say probably 250 now, if you have that, if you want them to go ahead and get started. And then, a couple of days from now, 2 to 3 days when they're done, we would get you the rest.
Would you take 200 now?
She kind of leans over the counter. Since you're taking him off my hands, I think I can do that.
Alright, then I will do that. I will give her the foreboding knife and my last 50 gold.
Okay. Alright, then 200G down on repair. Alright. I'm annoyed that my notes backup thing split, so I'm being extra careful and typing it in 2 places.
I'm gonna buy the small hat with the animal inside. Like, can you tell what kind of animal is inside? Because it's
it is invisible. Yeah, it's exactly. It's invisible, but you'll be able to tell at least if once you go to use it, because you'll be able to see the fake creature inside of it.
Okay, but is there like different fake creatures, or is it like the same one in all of them? Is my question.
Let me check. I think it was just an individual. Pull that one back up here again. Sorry. That was. It is just an individual, and if it dies, it's like gone. The enchantment actually isn't the hat; it's the creature. It just uses the hat as its like a what's that crab?
Hermit crab?
crabs, like hermit crabs. Yes.
Okay. So once it dies, it's gone. That would be very sad. So try not to get it killed.
But it is invisible. I mean, it's not easy to get caught or killed. It would have to be, somebody would have to have true sight essentially to see it, probably.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick one of those up.
Okay.
The augury spell scroll. Did you want that, Sarah?
What does the augury do?
You actually can use it. You're the only one that can because you have.
You're a
proper
wizard,
spell
so you can use it. I can't because I was gonna just sell it. But if you want it, you could take it. If you don't want it, we'll sell it and put the money on the broom.
So I heard it's kind of like something that allows you to speak with a godly being that gives you an idea of the future. Kind of like a
Only
magic.
within 30 minutes, though.
Yeah,
An
I know.
action that you plan to take within the next 30 minutes.
Personally, I don't like it. I like leaving it up to the true sands of fates. I don't like to know. I don't want some being just telling me whether something's going to be good or not.
Silda says, "Yeah, the gist of it, really. I mean, I know you guys aren't from the city, so we're used to these things all the time. But this specifically reaches out to Wilo and asks if the next short bit of time here will be a good thing or a bad thing for you. She can't really push it in either direction, but it'll tell you. She'll respond if this is a good idea or a bad idea."
Right, well, as much as I would love to have certainty about things, I would really love to have the broom fixed, so if everyone else is alright with it, I'm good with selling it.
Let me look at that real quick. I think that's the first level, isn't it?
I forgot that I'm not even in there. I'm actually outside.
Oh, you went out with the shield, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's see. That is second. Okay, so it'd be. I can buy this for. Well, let's see. Normally it would be 100, but what I can sell it for rather. So I can give you 75 for it.
Okay. Can you put that on the broom?
Yeah. All right. So 275 down on the broom.
Yeah, 275.
All right. Go ahead and delete that out of the inventory as well as the foreboding knife. There was one other one you'd asked about, Fox. What was the other?
That's what I'm looking for again. The hag's nails.
Okay, the actual nails, because the Marathosian needed. Yeah, if you're talking about the.
I was hoping I could wear the nails. What if we
I'm not talking about the needles. I'm talking about the actual nails.
I forgot you grabbed those. That's not the kind of thing that we would need here. There are alchemists and other, let's say, entrepreneurs in the city that might want something like this, but we wouldn't use these for an enchantment, so not something that we would particularly need here.
Okay, would you be able to point me into like the direction of a shop that would buy it?
I sure can. Give me just a second here. Would be nice if I had noticed that the notes were all broken and split up earlier in time. I got the main thing that I needed fixed in time, but it was June 18th, and I hadn't noticed somewhere between then and now that the one note wasn't syncing properly, so I had to look at a different machine. Let's see. Is that what the name was? Nope. I'll give you the name, Fox. I just don't have it in front of me at the moment. I'll have to look at the other computer.
That's fine.
It was Fizz something, but I don't remember precisely what it was. So, but she does tell you. I just don't have the name for Fox at the moment. It's Fizz, Fizz something.
Okay. The orb I picked up earlier. I'm just curious on how that works. The orb that steals healing.
Oh, that's not an orb. You mean the chunk of crystal, the green crystal?
Yeah.
Neck?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a crystal.
Yep. So that takes her another minute as well. By the way, that's another example of expertise versus proficiency. There, Sarah, it takes 10 minutes to do. Is it? I thought it was 10 minutes. Sarah, is it an hour for you to do identify?
I only have it as a ritual, so it's an hour.
Well, yeah, but a ritual is 10 minutes plus regular cast time.
I'm pretty sure it said an hour. Let me double check.
Maybe it is. I thought it was 10 minutes, but
oh no, it says 11 minutes.
yeah,
Never mind.
11 minutes. Yeah, because it's 1 minute cast time normally. 10 minutes is the casting as a ritual. So yeah, so 11 minutes total. But anyway, she does it in like a minute, or so. And looking at this, well, this is not the kind of thing that we would buy at all, and certainly very dangerous. And I would definitely recommend you, keep this ideally away from yourselves as far as you can. You can put it back in that bag, any kind of a bag of holding, that'd be fine. You just wouldn't want it to be anywhere nearby in case you get hurt. Because how this thing functions is it's intended to work as an anchor. And any dental, you guys are familiar with dental, right? Healing magic?
Yeah.
If it's cast in the vicinity of this thing within probably 50, 60 feet, it will absorb at least half, but maybe more. It's clear it was intended to channel it into something. So, I mean, maybe in the right, setup, if this was intended to channel it into, something that you needed to receive the healing, that might be fine. But if you were going to do that, you would probably just cast it directly at it. That this is certainly necromantic in origin, and I would not suggest just leaving this thing out.
We found it on some of the rat people that attacked Torben, so.
By the design,
that
would that would make sense by the kind of rough-hewn nature of this. The stone doesn't look like it was well cared for at all.
So would there be like a place to sell it, or if you just keep out of the way kind of thing?
This would be the kind of thing that if anybody of report were to acquire it, they would choose to destroy it, not keep it. And it's not going to have any value except for getting rid of it.
Okay, so we'll have to figure out how to destroy it then. I'll just put it back in the bag for now.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that it couldn't be of use to you potentially, but I mean, anywhere else in the city, if you were to just, roll this under the doorway of under a porch or something at a hospital or anything of that sort, you could really hurt a lot of people. So this isn't the kind of thing that the City Watch would be happy that exists. I mean, we don't spread secrets around here, of course. So you've got my my word on that. But as far as what it could, any positive use are going to be very limited.
Like, I was hoping to be able to use what's in there to heal, like, us up if possible. Like,
it doesn't. It's not a battery. Yeah, it doesn't store the absorbed energy. It spits it back out into the point here, which kind of points at the part that was jabbed into the rat ogre's neck. It's not saved in there.
Gotcha.
Anything else? I mean, the bag itself has some value if you're willing to part with that. We have plenty of them, of course, but they're still pricey.
It was a gift from a friend. I'm keeping it.
How about the, and I've been very careful and trying to be polite about this because I realize that these things come with certain roles, typically in the Monodoran society, but how about that crown you're wearing? Any interest in parting with that?
This is on loan.
A loan?
Uh-huh.
I've never known the Monodoran people to be so forthgiving when it comes to items of historical import like that. You do know what you have there, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you tend to help people out of binds, they'll sometimes make exceptions.
Well, you won't find many people in the city who will recognize that, but I would definitely recommend not showing it around in case those that do recognize it have ill intent.
That's why I normally have a disguise, but I'm gonna point to the door.
Yeah, the curtains tend to prevent those things. All right, anything else?
Not that I could tell.
Well, then, if that is the end of our business for the day, I will let the artificers know that that you are wanting to go ahead and get started on the repairs for your friend. Does she have a name, by the way? They tend to respond better when we know who they're, what they respond to, what their names are.
Her name is Brimmick.
Brimmick?
Yes.
Did I give you that, or did you just make that up?
Nope, me and Pogo made it.
All right. Okay, it is Brimmick. I
It's a
didn't
good
remember that
name.
name. No, it's a totally fine name. Yeah, I did not remember ever making one for the broom, so that's perfectly
Yeah.
appropriate.
No, I had asked Pogo what we should name the room, and he said Brimmick, so.
All right.
Okay, so now I just need to find a place to sell some cloth wrapped venison. And oh right, how's the little mimic on the broom doing?
I'll go ahead and tell you the artificers thought that was a tip at first and peeled it off, maybe thinking to the intent of trying to, buy a lower price on the quote. Only being a gold, we kind of chuckled at it, and then they realized what it was. We just set her aside for now. It seems like it's a female. It's hard to tell when they're not really hatched yet. But if you would like us to reattach once she's all fixed up, we can do that.
Yes, please. And once she's reattached, I'll give a bit of food to feed her because I've been feeding her periodically. Actually, I think I do have a few more mimic eggs.
You had a bunch. I think you had 10 or something at the start.
Yeah.
Was that the spelling you guys went with there? Brimmic?
I think I have it written down. You know what? Spelling doesn't matter. That's fine.
Right.
I
I assume
came
mimic
up
would
with
have to end in a
spelling.
C. Initially, I would have spelled it with a K on the end, but since it's mimic was the portmanteau you're going with, clumsy portmanteau at best. All right. Then in that case, you guys wrap up the remaining business there. If there's nothing else you needed to purchase at the moment, you did sell. So make sure you have deleted. You did sell the foreboding knife and the augury scroll, and the ring. Which Justin, I don't think did you actually put that in your inventory at all?
Nope, never did.
Okay. All right. So you can go ahead and remove that, obviously, and then I will give you I'll put the shield in your inventory before next week too. Let's see. And so, Arteme, you bought the hat with the small invisible animal. I'll put that in your inventory too. And then you guys bought the Shield of Expressions and put 275 gold down on the broom.
Yeah.
That was it, right? I'm not missing anything?
I think that was. Oh yeah, I had mimic egg. Let me see.
Yeah, but you didn't buy those. Like that's your.
No, I didn't buy. Yeah, I have 10 of them.
Okay. All right.
I'm willing to part with 2 if they're willing to buy some mimics.
Oh, you'd need a crypto. No, sorry. Damn it! What was the fucking name of that? Let me find his name real quick. There's a guy in the city that Ben and Becky and Sako might remember, but he has a specific name for his shop. Or not. The guy's name is Scipio, but I don't have the name for his shop here. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can find it. You've actually, some of you would have an idea of who this is anyways, because it is Jazera's uncle, is the person that owns the shop that she would tell you to go to.
The giant brass coin. Did we ever figure out what that was?
The what?
There's a giant brass coin we got from the Jutharan pacifier. Did we ever figure out what it was or what it did?
I don't think it was magical.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
I mean, I also think we have do we get 2 sets of Juthan armor, or do we just have 1?
we just have the one in there in the bag of holding.
But I think we dropped it off the side.
You definitely
needed
dropped
it.
at least one.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering if we had
that
2, and then we dropped 1, or do we just have 1? I never took anything out of inventory, if that helps.
Yeah, I think it was only the one set. I don't remember you guys grabbing out the second one.
I'm gonna go ahead and delete that out of our bag of holding, because I think it was just that one. All right. Well, what time is it right now? Because Pogo wants to get some food. Pogo wants to. Oh wait, no, they're making dinner for us. Do you
Yep.
guys remember? Oh, spaghetti, and I think we're doing spaghetti and some garlic bread.
I
I'm
can't
excited.
find the fucking. God, this is driving me nuts. I hate it when I don't have quick access to my notes like this. But it was something Wendigo. So I'm just gonna say it's the early Wendigo is the name of Scipio's shop. and he is essentially a xenobiologist, right? So it would be not xeno in the correct, maybe arcanobiologist. That's probably not the correct term, but it basically studies and catalogs and reads on the anatomy of all that stuff of these unnatural and sometimes magically altered creatures. And specifically in this case, he would be the one to ask about mimics here in the city. He also just happens to be just. Okay, so I was curious if where that would come up, but that's Jazera's uncle here in the city. Jazera's the maid that was sleeping with Lord Durrell. Her uncle rather runs this Wendigo shop here in the city, and he's essentially a xenobiologist.
Didn't he have that like weird cat thing, and we saved its kitten or whatever?
Yep, Akira. Yep.
Okay. Oh, the Immateria jar that turns us invisible.
Nope, we're not selling that.
Okay.
Yeah, that last.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, not Immateria jar. That you can sell. I thought you were gonna say the alchemy jug.
No, the alchemy jug I'm
like
not
his
selling.
favorite
Are you
thing.
crazy?
Okay, I had a moment there. I was like, "Oh shit! Does Justin have a plan for this Immateria jar?" They've had
No,
forever?
that I
Like,
don't care about. But the alchemy jug.
but as soon as you said alchemy jug, I was like, "Yes, there we go. That's Justin. That's the Justin I remember."
There's a,
Yeah,
giving
the
up the
alchemy jar,
the
don't worry, I'm
plan that I
keeping
have
that,
in mind
but-
for tonight requires a lot of mayonnaise.
Maybe we should hold on to that until we're done with whatever it is that we're doing tomorrow.
Especially if
I'm
it's
just looking
overall.
through the inventory. I'm not saying this out loud. I'm just like looking through the inventory and trying to figure it out. Like this is like OC because just
Well, if
OC
there's-
stuff.
If there's more you guys need to buy or something, then go right ahead, obviously. But otherwise, you've already bought the things that you seem to care about at the moment. So
Yeah. Yep. It's just because the down payment for the broom, I wanted to get as much of that paid as possible.
Does anyone want this shield? I know it's a bit small, but it is good quality. Do any of you require
it is.
one?
It is near weightless, by the way. I didn't give you the stats on that. It is basically no weight, so there's no dex penalty or anything for it, despite it being a large shield. So it'd be 2 AC. Just as base, and then when you tell it stories, if it likes the stories, it will increase the AC and potentially add resistances.
Cool. I've got
So
right now
if
my.
you-
So it's at minimum even with my elven shield, but does it actually weigh 0 pounds?
It's like 1. It's basically
Alright, perfect.
that
That gives me 2 more pounds for my weight max.
Okay, so let's go. I guess find somewhere I could sell the dire bear meat and some venison,
Yeah.
and then we'll check out the.
We have all day tomorrow too.
Yeah,
that's true
so-
too.
And just in
I'm getting
the sake
hungry.
of time, I've got like another 10 minutes or so, and then I need to wrap up. So there were still. I was hoping to actually get the planning stuff done, so we could actually start the heist at the next session.
No, we're gonna spend the whole next session.
But it's a shopping episode. Yeah, exactly. It's a shopping episode, right?
It's all good.
So-
Okay, so the TDR is we're gonna sell the dire boar meat and the venison.
Okay, yeah. So
So-
for those, well, you had them in the bag of holding this whole time, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I forgot to move over the venison or the dire meat. Supposed to put in the bag of holding. but
Well, I mean,
just,
in
like,
narrative,
moving-
though,
Yeah,
in
in
narrative,
narrative,
yeah, Arteme would know to be storing them in there. That doesn't make them. That's not. There's a thing. It's called a bag of holding, which you would use for, for trying to preserve things. It doesn't preserve them except in what is essentially open near vacuum. It's not quite airtight, like you can breathe in a bag of holding for, I think it's 1 minute or whatever, but near enough to vacuum that it doesn't spoil, rapidly. essentially.
that, and I would have wrapped it and I would have cooked into jerky while we were out because
You
this
did.
was, like,
You
the
mentioned
storm.
that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. You did specifically mention that. So if it was smoked or intentionally salted and then wrapped or anything like that, we'll say that it's still potentially useful beyond just the meat being valuable. But even as food or whatever. So at the bazaar, it wouldn't be much, but because of the rarity for dire boar, venison's not a big deal. You get that anywhere.
Yeah.
But for the dire bears, it was 2 that you fought on the mountain, or just the one? The one that was right outside the cave, right?
So it's 800 pounds of bear meat, and that's like from the one. There's half the fur, white fur, and there's 4 claws.
You wouldn't have been able to fit all that in the bag, so I should have been more clear on that, but that's fine because the price isn't huge anyways. We'll call it 50 gold total for all of the remains from the bear and the venison. The venison really wouldn't add up to much, but if you're going to throw that in, we'll call it 50 gold.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'll plus 50 gold. So I'll delete those.
Okay. Any other like shopping type things to finish up?
What was the shop for the hag's nails?
For the what?
Hag's nails.
Well, you could probably actually sell those to Scipio as well. Really, that is the. It would be really any kind of an alchemist shop, but I had the specific one to give you. I'll get you the name either way, and then you can do. Well, you know what? If we're going to hand wave it anyways, 10 gold for them, because those weren't actually hags. I don't know if you remember that they were kind of altered. They were Marathosians,
Yeah.
but they still have value. They're just not actually hags.
So 10 gold? Okay.
Yep. And then delete those out, obviously. All right, then with all that handled, are you guys heading back to the Gypsy's Gaze?
Yeah. go ahead.
Spaghetti time! Spaghetti time!
It's a little more expensive than spaghetti. You make your way back. As soon as you step in, the place is like even from from 10 feet from the door, you can smell it coming out. But it is smells like a very well tended roast, like not just let to sit, but actually it smells extremely good, especially when you guys are used to mostly eating on the road and that kind of stuff. So. But you step in, and the place is very quiet, except for like the constant kind of clanging of a ladle inside of a pot, maybe from the back of the kitchen. You look around and realize there aren't tables in here. It's clear she doesn't like having patrons in, but there aren't tables, and there's no like other room to go into. So you kind of sidle up to the bar. Norok, you kind of have to just lean over. There isn't there isn't anything convenient for you to be able to sit at. And I just realized Ben said like 2 words this entire time. Gee, I'm sorry. Usually I kind of cut to you more often just to make sure that you get to be involved when you're not hitting things. But with a short session, I apologize.
No problem.
But you guys kind of sidling up to the bar there. She hears you come in, of course. It'll be another 10 minutes or so.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are your friends coming? Your father? Sorry if I wasn't supposed to know that, but your father and the boy?
Yeah, if they're here, they're more than welcome to join us. Otherwise, we'll save them some leftovers.
Well, they haven't come back in yet, so if they didn't come with you, then they're not here.
Should they have been back by now?
Yeah.
They told you they would be back in the evening.
I'm gonna Alright, I'm gonna just sit down in the corner and turn Noctua back into an owl as fast as I can.
It takes an hour. That does take an hour.
I know.
Okay.
I realize that, but
Okay.
she's trying to rush.
Okay. you very rapidly take an hour to do the transition there. A few minutes
I'll
later,
send
though.
Sai out to scout a bit.
Okay. She's still in her twin-tailed form.
Yeah, she's still in her regular form.
Well, you didn't spend an hour to return her back to regular Kitsune, so she's still twin-tailed cat form right now.
No, when I resummoned her, I summoned her in her original form.
Okay, but to resummon her takes an hour. You would have had to take an hour to do that. Are you saying you took an hour earlier when you guys were still here?
I had to bring her back to do the scouting.
Well, that you could just snap your fingers. That's instant. So if you were, that's fine if you did. If you took an hour to do it, it just meant that you'd be a little later in the evening. But that's fine. It's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, because you had said I'm snapping her back into her original form and then getting the report. And
Well,
like,
okay.
That'll take an hour, and I'm like, okay, awesome.
That's fine. Okay, yep. That would have been summoning and then another hour for her to explain everything, but it doesn't matter. That's fine. It was just a little bit later in the evening than I'd initially expected, but it won't matter. Over the next hour, though, everybody else is eating while Sarah is in the corner with the sensor out and burning incense over it and waiting for the kind of vaguely greenish bluish shape rather, to begin to solidify above the sensor until she comes out. So everybody else, anything else as far as the planning and discussion, everything while you're eating? Hortensia brings the food out and you kind of sets it out on the bar.
I like to do my planning more before we start, but I am gonna also grab the girl out of the room so she can eat with us too.
Okay.
I'm gonna look over the map that Jazera gave us.
Okay.
The only thing is I'm not finding in the V8.
Is what?
Oh, okay, there it is. It's not.
Yeah, I made it a scene so you guys can draw on it if you need to.
Oh, it's a scene. Okay. I thought it was a VA, so I was looking for it earlier.
Yeah. Well, it's both. There is both.
I
but
took
you
a
guys,
screenshot on mine, but
That's fine too. Yeah, just so, like if you guys need to, plan, because the idea would be that you would have, a decent idea of go here, go here, go here, not just let's go
well,
and
we've
figure it
got.
out. Because
So let's see.
a lot
The
is going
start
to
of
be
this
bad.
plan is, you know what? Never mind, because I forgot that what's her face? Jazeera.
Zara?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot Jazeera's there, and I don't want her to know the part about possibly releasing a giant undead ogre thing. So
All right.
we better keep
So
that.
so
Hush,
now the
hush.
planning is back on hold.
Yeah, we'll just plan tomorrow when it's when we have time without a group. We can go maybe back down to the sewers and talk about it or something.
Okay. Then, for the sake of time, because we're going to wrap here in a minute, Sarah, you finish the summoning for Noctua. She kind of flaps her wings above the sensor, immediately kind of lifts herself away, trying to hover in place as best she can, but not wanting to breathe the smoke.
And I'm going to directly send her out towards where was it? It was the 11 tram. Had her that direction to look to see if they're on their way back and they're just slow. Or
So
what she
I'll tell
finds
you.
at the
I'll tell
11
you.
tram.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that the tram isn't one place. It's a like a light rail that goes around the city.
Okay, but is there like a main place that they would have gotten on to go around the city from where we're at? Like whatever the closest one is?
Think San Francisco, where the little rail cars are just all over the place. You just hop on them whenever you want, and they just keep going, and they move slow, so people just hop on and off all the time, like that. There isn't a main place. There isn't like you don't go buy a ticket. Basically, you just jump on whenever you want.
Alright, then I'm just gonna have her just find a tram and see if she can find them.
Okay.
Just keep looking.
Okay. Then that's going to take some time, obviously, for her to get there. So we'll go ahead and wrap there. Suffice it to say, for the moment at least, you do expect that Theodore and Avar should be here, and they're not. And Hortensio was expecting them to be back already, and they're not. But we'll go ahead and wrap there. Schedule-wise, guys, what is... Justin, you're going on the 3rd, right?
Yep, I will be in Mariposa at the county